What's guys, Bryce here, and we're back at it again with another HOTLAP video. Today I'll be doing a HOTLAP setup guide and a quick overview of Singapore. This track is definitely one of my favorite tracks. It gets me frustrated a lot just because it is very hard, but once you get a nice flow and you get really good at it, it is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. For racing, it is so hard to keep your tires under the right temperature, but without further ado, let's get into the HOTLAP. So going down the straight of Singapore, try to go to the right as much as you can and then turn in really quickly for the first corner. Try to get that curb as much as you can and avoid this curb on the left. I locked up a tiny bit. Try to keep the car as smooth as possible. Going in for this right-hander, that's pretty quick. The thing about Singapore is you kind of have to know which curbs to take and which curbs not to take, because some of them can slow you down and some of them can gain you time. For example, this curb coming up here, you want to take as much of it as you can without losing control of the car either. I went a little wide there. And then this corner, again, you don't want to take curb on this one. You want to go as close as you can to it. This one, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends. I feel like if you do or you don't, you kind of have the same amount of time. This corner, you really have to just abuse that curb and take as much of it as you can. Same thing with this one, but keeping the car under control. Underneath the bridge, this is a really cool bridge going down to the hairpin. Really slow hairpin, and then for the straight, trying to minimize the wheel spin. For this next corner, try to brake as late as you can. I lock my wheels a little bit here. You don't need to take too much curb, but keeping the exit as smooth as possible. Going through this next section, the last sector, is definitely the hardest of the track in my opinion. Going over almost half the car over that curb. This corner is very difficult underneath the bridge. As much curb as you can on that side and a little bit on this side. The last corner, which is the hardest, you want to take as much curb as you can because it can gain you time, but you also want to be smooth and quick. This last corner, use the engine to do the braking. And that is a quick overview of Singapore. Now for the more in-depth guide. So now for the more in-depth guide, going down the long straight, I usually brake right after you pass the 2019 billboard up above you. Try to take as much curb as you can in fourth gear. Ride the curbs on the right and try to avoid the one on the left. And as you accelerate, go to the left. That will decrease your time. Go to the right, up to the middle of the track, then fourth gear over that curb on the right. Very difficult to get it wrong, so make sure you do be as precise as possible. It will take practice definitely to get all these corners right. Next, for this corner, I usually brake after the wall ends on the right hand side. So brake here, go in fourth gear, take as much curb as you can. I went a little wide here. Here, braking right before the 50. Second gear, you can go into first. Get as good an exit as you can. Right after the black flag thing on the right up hand corner, I don't know what that's called. Fourth gear, try to kiss that curb, go on this long straight. I usually brake right after the 50 and go into third. Take as much curb as you can on the left, as much you can on the right. Keep it as smooth as possible underneath the bridge. It's so hard to get wheel spin here. Braking right after that little pillar on the right. Braking a straight line, first gear around the hairpin. This track is super fast and definitely a really hard track, but it's super fun once you get a really nice rhythm. Braking in the middle of the 100 and the 50 is usually where I brake. Third gear, try not to lock your wheels like I did. Third gear, going around that corner. For this bend here, brake right before the 50. Fourth gear, third gear, over this curb and almost half the car over this curb. Now usually here I brake before the 50. Third gear, as much curb as you can underneath the bridge and on the right hand side. For one of the hardest corners on the track, I usually brake right when I pass the right hand black box. Third gear over the curb and try to take as much curb on the left, but also keeping a nice speed. After the black box, short shift, and you let the engine do the braking. Keep it tidy and don't go off the track. And that is a lap of Singapore. Definitely one of my favorite tracks. If you do get it right, this is going to be a really fun track to do races in. But hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like down below. Be sure to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.